You know what's mind-boggling to me? Because when I looked at the last series when the Knicks played Philly, same thing, effort, rebounding. So I would have thought coming into this series, Rick Carlisle would put an emphasis on rebounding.
Yeah.
You know, like, all right, if y'all could just keep the Knicks off the glass offensively, then we got a chance. But it's just like sometimes the Knicks' best offense is take the shot, take a bad shot, miss it, and get the offensive rebound and put it back. But I think a couple of things are happening. Not only is the effort and the rebounding is not there, I really think he's being I think Rick Carlisle is being outcoached. You know, I'm looking at the schemes. They're picking up full court. And I'm like, you know, Indiana's one of the more fouling teams in the league.
Yep.
You know, they give up more free throws than pretty much everybody all season long. So why would you pick up full court?
Well, I think they're trying to wear out Jalen Brunson as best they can with multiple defenders full court.
I mean, he's on a record tear right now. I mean, come on. Give him some space, make him.
Yeah.
And another thing, they're not switching on pick and roll, so it's leaving them. They're going over screens, and they're allowing Knicks to get into the paint where they're just dominating them in the paint. 62 points in the paint. I mean, I know Indiana's getting into the paint too, but you can't allow this team to just get whatever they want. So now, when they get layups, it's opening up their three-point shooting, especially late in the game. And another thing that's mind-boggling is Aaron Nesmith probably shouldn't play another minute in this series. Especially
That's harsh.
I mean, you got. I mean, this is what I look at. You played 34 minutes. And the emphasis on rebounding, right? You got me one rebound. Whereas I look at T.J. McConnell, who's a plus 10, who got me 3 rebounds, 10 points, 12 assists.
And he's like 5'8", but go ahead.
But he's the best defender that you have for Jalen Brunson.
He is.
He picks up full court. He's playing tough defense on him.
And he did not play the last 7 minutes.
And didn't play the last 7 minutes. Obi Toppin, 20 points, has been their best player.
Sensational, yep.
And he doesn't play the last 9 minutes.
Yep.
So that a lot of that tells me that, like, and I hear Rick Carlisle saying, like, well, this is what we've done all year long. Well, the playoffs is about making adjustments. So if you're not making the necessary adjustments, that just tells me that you're stuck on your ways. The playoffs is about making adjustments, Skip, because teams are going to come at you in different ways than they did in the regular season. And so if he's not going to make the necessary adjustments, then they're going to get swept. And then Tyrese Halliburton. He looks like an all-star one half, and then it just feels like he forgets that he's the star of the team. Because he comes out the second half, he's not aggressive. I mean, you're on fire. If you're the star, the all-star of the team, you got to shoot yourself into a 40, 50-point game.
It looked like he was on the way. Yep, I agree.
You know, I mean, this is a crucial game. You feel like, all right, you know, they got their 2 at home, the Knicks. It's like, or we'll go home and get our 2. No, that's not guaranteed. When you have a team, you're down 10, you're dealing with it. And they didn't take advantage of Jalen Brunson being hurt. You know, putting him in more of isolation plays to where he can get in foul trouble or make him work. So it's a number of things that I was disappointed in last night. And I still got the Pacers in the series because I feel like, Coach Tibs, he's running his players into the ground. They're dropping like flies, one by one. And I'm not sure they can hold up now. If they can get past 6, if they can get to game 6, I believe Indiana will win the series. But they got to win the next 2 at home. If they win the next 2 at home, they got a shot. But I still got them because I just don't know the injury updates and what's going on with Brunson and OG. If he's not there, he's a huge piece to what they do.
Well, it didn't look good.
It didn't look good.
No.
Well, it's simple, as I like to say, Skip. It's simple for me.
It's always simple for me.
It's because it is. When you look at it, Jalen Brunson on the floor, they're doing well. They tied. So when he left the game, it was a tie game, 36-36. He's off the floor. They plus 26 with him on it, minus 17 with him off the floor. So now all of a sudden you're down, like you said, Skip, by 10 at halftime. He comes back from a phantom injury, because I don't know exactly what happened. It looked like originally he got hit in a certain spot, but it was his foot. So I don't know how.
Let's quickly go deeper into this because I don't know. I never know about these injuries. But first he's grabbing his wrist, and I thought, did he hurt his shooting wrist? when he banged into them hard. Well, then
I said a certain spot. I didn't want to even go into it,
but that looked like classic groin shot where you're gonna shake it off in about 2 or 3 minutes. And if he's holding his wrist for a second, I thought, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
And then he goes back down the floor and plays defense, and I don't see anything happen where I say, that looked dangerous, that looked right.
Yeah.
And then he starts trotting toward the bench, and he waves to the bench, get me out of here.
Yeah.
What? Get you out for what? And then they announce it's actually his foot.
Yeah.
Okay, but they don't say specifically, did you sprain your foot? Did you bone bruise it? Did you stress fracture it? I don't know. There are lots of things that could happen to your foot, but it wasn't apparently his ankle. He didn't turn his ankle.
No.
So I don't know. It's mysterious. I don't know. Phantom would suggest that it didn't happen. He looked pretty good in the second half.
It didn't happen to me in my eyes because there was 3 different things that occurred in a short period of time, from the wrist to the groin to the foot, and none of the 3 could you see exactly what happened. Now, whatever, right? At the end of the day, he came back out.
Okay, but the other weird part of it, he went to the locker room for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long
time. You have to let
whole quarter.
Yeah, but you have to
let in real time, that's like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Every now and then you have to let the guy with the white coat with the pen in his ear or the pen in his pocket.
I understand.
He has to make sure that the medicine is taking place. You know, when you go in there and you see the doctor, you got to make sure it's right.
Suggesting it was injectable?
It could have been a pill, it could have been injectable. Whatever it was, they had to make sure it got right. So when he comes back out on the court, all of a sudden they're a different basketball team.
No doubt.
Okay, they saw their fierce leader taking charge and doing things. And Rick was here the other day talking about how hard it was for him to get shots up. I'm like, where? How is it hard for him to get shots up? He basically gave you another 40-piece and played only 3 quarters. Basically, because if you add in the second quarter,
I'll buy that.
He probably gonna have 40.
Yep.
And so you look at who was guarding him and how they wanted to try to do things with him, but they couldn't. When they picked him up full court, he got cross court, dribble. They never doubled him. They never tried to, like Paul said, they never switched. It was almost like they dared him as the littlest guy on the court for the Knicks being able to knock down shots on a consistent basis. And he was able to do that leading the charge, especially when OG went out of the game, that you thought, okay, he was having such a historical game for himself.
Well, he had his career high in 28 minutes that he did play, he had 28 points.
Yeah, and so...
OG, right?
Yeah, so once he went out, I believe that the Pacers felt like, okay, we got them right where we want them. But they did not seize the moment. No. Instead, they were looking for calls. Instead of going and creating those calls, they're looking for them any way they can. Now, were there a few calls in the game that the referees probably should have seen and called? Yeah. They're hard pushing it back to Halliburton. That was clear. Yeah. They missed it.
This didn't come down to calls by the refs.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they did.
But you know how
I'm saying they looking for him.
They looking for it. This came down to that third quarter.
Absolutely.
You'll look at the numbers and say, all right, Tyrese had a really good game. If you didn't watch the game and but to me, I thought he didn't do what was necessary to get a certain type of win in the playoffs on the road in a hostile environment that you needed in the second half. Didn't come out. I don't think he took a shot. The whole third quarter, maybe one shot. He got a layup. Halliburton. He got like one layup. One out of two. But that's not showing me the aggression.
He had 22 in the first half, and you'd say, keep it up, man.
Keep it going. Like if I'm having a game like I'm having if I'm Halliburton, I'm gonna set the tone the third quarter. But instead, I think he took a step back, went into his passing mode, and they just couldn't hit a shot in the third quarter. At one point, they only had 6 points. They ended up with 18, but for a long time, they were stuck on 6 points. They were getting outscored. And then,
they got outscored in the third quarter.
You let Brunson come in and ignite the crowd, and from that point over, I was like, no way the Pacers are going to win this. No way.
Now, is the series over? No, it's not. They got to go back to Indy, and I'm sure they'll be fired up, Skip, to get a home game. But I do believe once New York gets one in Indy, it's a wrap at that point because the crowd in New York was they're into it. They feel like they're getting ready to go to the NBA Finals, so they're giving all that energy to their team. I just think that, again, like Paul said, I think Rick Carlisle got out-coached. He was too worried about the referees. I mean, like, it's just all of it, not focused in on what he should be doing and making the necessary adjustments to slow Brunson down. Even Hart knocking down shots when he needed to. They was like, oh, you go ahead, we dare you to shoot. Oh, okay. Y'all still daring me to shoot?
Yeah.
I'll shoot. And that's how they lose the game.
Okay, I like Rick Carlisle a lot. I know him, and he does have a championship on his resume.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm not going to condemn him for last night, but I did not like it that after the game, he marched right to the podium and made it all about the referees, saying, well, we had 29 calls that went against us in game one, but we chose not to send those to the league office, but now we're going to send. And it's desperate on his part, and he was at fault because you got to get TJ in the game somehow
I don't
down
think
the
he should have
stretch.
came out. They should have played them two together, him and Halliburton.
I get he's doing the old Texas, you dance with who brung you, you know, like this is how we did it all year, so I'm going to go to tried and true. This is how we got to where we got. And I'm going to let Halliburton close the game. But I told you, because you and I got a dinner bet on this, I'm taking the Knicks because I don't see the Pacers closer. I don't know who do you trust? Who's going to finish for them? It can be Siakam, but last night he was kind of a no-show. And after Anunoby goes out, think about this. Anunoby is their one athlete on that team. I'm talking about a long, stretchy sort of wing player, right? Kind of in your mold, where he can defend a lot of positions, because when they're up against it, when Hartenstein gets in foul trouble, Anunoby can guard the center. He can guard Miles Turner, okay? And if you lose him, you lose explosion. You lose a key cog to this, where the other guys can't do what Anunoby does.
Not defensively.
No, not defensively. And plus, he's got a championship ring. So you trust him in these moments to make big shots, and he was making it. He had his playoff career high. And so after he goes out, Siakam doesn't have a designated defender because they're old teammates from Toronto, and Anunoby can equalize him. He can stand him off. You know, he can at least sort of keep him to a low roar. And yet, Siakam in the fourth quarter was just, I don't know, he didn't do much of anything.
No, you know what I do? And this goes back on Coach Carlisle. They didn't get him in the positions to where he could be effective. You know, a lot of times, Siakam is effective in the post area.
He is.
They need to get him the ball to where they get the pick and roll, he rolls, they get the switch, get him into his little area to where he can shoot his little fadeaway where he's effective. A lot of times, you know, he missed 3 threes or open, though. He can knock those down. So I think they have to get him in his spots and tell him, man, you got to be aggressive for us, because if Halliburton's not going to be aggressive and Siakam's not going to be aggressive, you're right. Who do they go to for a closer? You know, so I think Siakam has to be the guy.
All right.
But they gotta highlight him.
Okay, now we get down to classic New York Knicks grit.
It's too much.
I see it every game. I just see them say, okay, watch this. And it's just a matter of wanting to. I want the ball worse than you want the basketball. Precious Achiuwa comes into the game in the fourth quarter because he's pressed into action. He gets 3 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter, and they were all killers for the visiting team, where they just kill your heart and soul, where you say, God, we just played our ass off for, 20-some seconds on defense, and then they shoot and miss, and they get the ball back, and they start it up again, and we got to suck it up and do this again. He did that 3 times, and they had 5 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter to 7 on defense, so almost half the rebounds were offensive. You're going to lose. If you're at Madison Square Garden with all those people sitting in the front row, you're going to lose. And again, after Anunoby goes out, and Jalen was supposed to be hobbled, and sometimes he would kind of be a little limpy. And I don't know if he's just putting it on or if he's just trying to.
He ain't look limpy to me.
He didn't me either. Because if you play 24 minutes, you play every minute of the second half, I'm not going to give you any injury breaks on that one.
Oh, well, I'm good. I'm glad you said that, because we'll be having that conversation a little bit later about somebody. But, I'm glad
somebody you don't believe in.
I'm just saying, you just said it. You the one said it.
All right. Okay. I will remember all of the above. But the point is, on this one, you know, Indiana's got to win this game. They just keep losing players. You have to lose. This is it.
This is it.
Knicks.
Yeah. I can't.
Or like you said, there's a grit, there's a grind, there's a hustle face to everybody on the floor. They fly around. It reminds me of like a defensive football team. They fly around. They diving on the floor to go get loose balls. They coming out of nowhere over the sky to get rebounds. There's three Indiana Pacers standing there, and all of a sudden, here go Josh Hart. I'm like, well, it'd be nice to box him out, but they're not in that mode.
They're not.
And when Rick Carlisle say, hey, at the end in his press conference, they're more aggressive, or they, you know, well, yeah, of course, because your guys aren't playing that way. They're playing like a finesse basketball team against an aggressive team in the Knicks. The Knicks are they are, I guess, what you would call New York. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing New York out of them.
All right. And finally, DiVincenzo, who I've always liked. I mean, once upon a time, he took over an NCAA championship game and scored 31 points. But listen, he's making big shots at big moments. He made 6 threes 50%. Last night, and they all seem like they mattered. You know, like it'd be like, again?
But you can see when it left his hand, you could see it was going in.
And it looked like he thought it was going in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So they got a nice mix. But listen, Jalen Brunson, I don't know how he does it, but he just keeps on keeping on. And yet, if you do have an antidote for him, it's little TJ who can sort of mirror him and match him.
Well, not that.
He's still dropping buckets.
But the thing is, you have to change up the coverages on a guy like this. I mean, once you see him go for 4 straight 40-point games, it's just like, all right, let's see who else can beat us. Now, they trapped him one time, but they trapped him all the way out to half court. They found DiVincenzo for a 3. First of all, that ain't where you trap a guy at in the scheme of things. When Jalen Brunson started getting to his little dribble habits and he gets around the free throw line.
7 seconds to go.
Like a free throw line, I think you trap him around the free throw line because he likes that area. He gets into the lane. Then you send another guy at him. That way, the rotations aren't as far away when he makes the pass out of the trap. And you can get to the DiVincenzo. And I thought you should have trapped him off of Precious. He doesn't even take a 3. So use him, whoever he's guarding, who's guarding Precious, use him as a roamer. Yep. That guy goes and trap him. I was just watching this game in such frustration, Skip, and I was just like, the little things that I saw that the Pacers were doing, going over pick and rolls that were damn near at half court, going over dribble handouts that where you can go under damn near at half court. Now they're behind, and now you're giving up the lane, and they gave up layup after layup after layup. And it just didn't make sense to me.
All right, I'm going to repeat again. There's no Julius Randle. He's a good player. A lot of people have issues, but he's a really good player. And you miss that piece to this puzzle, right?
He's been an all-star in this league.
Yeah. And then Bogdanovich, they acquired. He's a big game shooter. Trust me, he's made a lot of big threes. He's made them against LeBron back in the day. He knows how to play, and he's not afraid of the moment. And then Mitchell Robinson at least gave him a backup to Hartenstein, right? Yeah. And Anunoby, we just discussed, is their one wing athlete who can play both ends. After a while, if you keep losing, and if Jalen is more hobbled, if he wakes up today and I don't know what's wrong with him, but if it's worse than we think, well, I don't know how you keep replacing, because he doesn't like to go to his bench anyway, so he was forced last night. They tried to play Miles McBride, 20 minutes. He didn't do much. Alec Burks got in the game, who's been around for a while, not a bad player. He's still got Shake Milton, who I've always liked Shake Milton, but he doesn't even see the light of play for them. But you could reach for him.
Guys that you could actually play.
Jericho Sims can play.
Why do I need to play him if I'm doing just fine with my 7 guys that I'm rotating in and out of the game?
Because you keep losing one of your 7. I mean, if Anunoby can't go, but somebody's got to step in there.
Yeah, but Anunoby can't. He can't not go because Tibs is wearing him down. He got pushed.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
what do you mean? I mean,
he's not. I'm saying that when this conversation about these minutes, and wearing them down and wearing them out because they keep losing guys, it ain't because of Tibs. Everybody wants to make it seem like it's because of Tibs.
Well, you got to understand, Key, that Tibs has a reputation.
Oh, no, I understand that.
Of wearing and tearing his players. Now, when I look at the injuries to Brunson and I look at Anunoby, those look like kind of wear and tear, you know, muscle fatigue type of injuries. Because
Anunoby, well, we're about to dive deeply into that. But here's the point. Are you ready to say Pacers are going to come back and win this series?
Are you ready to say?
Yeah.
I still got the Pacers winning the series in 7.
Okay, well, you better because you got a dinner with me.
Yeah, Anunoby, if he can't go, if his hamstring is worn out and can't go, and, you know, we don't know what's going on with Brunson. He could have an injury that pops up today. I mean, because he's playing off this New York crowd, which gives you adrenaline.
Yeah.
You know, the next day is when you really feel it.
I understand.
Why is this schedule like this, though? Why they flying back to Indy and they playing on Friday? Why is it that way opposed to like Minnesota played on Monday and they're not playing?
They're the aberration. They got 3 days off. That they got from Monday night all the way to Friday night.
It's TV stuff, man, you know.
Yeah, it's so weird to me.
They're trying to save the Nuggets, right?
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.